So I don't know who this message is going to be for, but Spirit channeled me a word maybe about a week ago, and I had to look up what that word was. They brought it through several times. I heard it in my head. The first time I forgot because I got distracted and started doing something else. And then the second and third time that they repeated it, I had more of capacity and space to Google it and to actually look into and start researching what the heck this was. And then after I did that, and I'll tell you what the word is and how this is all connected, afterwards, they started showing me these other signs. And it's confirming, but also expanding on what they showed me with that word. But I don't know if this is literal or metaphor or symbolic of something else or something spiritual that's going on. So the word that they channeled to me was bilirubin. And I was like, what is that? But it's a fun word to say. And like when they kept saying it in my head, I was like, bilirubin, bilirubin. It just, I don't know, it sounded fun to me. Does anybody else get like, I don't know, like do certain words have like a mouth feel with like food would have like a certain mouth feel and it's satisfying. It's kind of like they have a brain feel. Maybe it's just a neurodivergent thing, but bilirubin stood out to me. And they kept bringing it up. So I looked it up. And apparently, I'm going to do a lot of research in this reading, I think. It's going to be a research reading. But according to Google, it says bilirubin is a yellowish substance found in bile produced when the liver breaks down old red blood cells. It's a normal byproduct of hemoglobin breakdown and is typically processed by the liver, excreted in bile, and eventually eliminated from the body in the stool. High bilirubin levels, often indicated by jaundice, which is yellowing of the skin and eyes, can signal liver problems, blood disorders, or bile duct blockages. Now, this is where it gets interesting because they were also showing me Simpsons characters. And what do they notoriously have? Yellow skin. And then I had references to emojis before you select the skin color, which is yellow skin. So there's something about bilirubin, yellow skin. And then in the last reading I did, Spirit channeled the word sanguine several times to me. And in that reading, I didn't look it up because it wasn't one of those research, it wasn't one of these kind of research readings. Afterwards, though, in the comments, people were telling me that it has to do with both a sunny disposition or an optimistic outlook and also can have to do with blood. And this is how I'm like kind of fitting these things together. Sanguine and bilirubin feel like sanguine is kind of like red blood and bilirubin would be like the yellow aspects of blood. What also came up in that previous reading was yellow sunshine, and it was connected to, I'm just realizing right now, it was connected to the King of Wands. It wasn't from this particular deck, but this is one of the cards I was guided to pull before turning on the camera, the King of Wands. Fire is red, but can also be yellow. Maybe it has something to do with the element of fire. I also just heard electricity or the element of I know electricity is not an element, but I was actually thinking about that earlier today, how it's interesting that it's not. And I was wondering, why is it not? Anyway, there's something about maybe the liver, or this could have to do with the blood, or this could be completely symbolic, or this could be spiritual. It could be talking about like a liver meridian and a blood. Okay, I just heard blood transfusion. I really don't think this is literal. Most of the time, these messages are symbolic. Sometimes they are quite literal, though. So I'm not going to try and suppose that I know how this is going to apply to whoever this reading is for. But just kind of take it all with a grain of salt as we go along. So something about red blood, something about yellow in the blood or yellow skin, something about the King of Wands. I'm hearing mellow yellow. And there was also a reference earlier today. I was washing my car, and as the hose was spraying the water, you know how it creates that mist, and the sunshine hit it, sunshine yellow. The sun hit it and created this rainbow. And I was like, ooh, rainbow. I got all excited. I don't know. I just get excited by little things like that. And then I was like, taste the rainbow. And then I was driving home and I saw a billboard that flashed. It was like one of those changing ones, and it said, taste the rainbow. And I was like, okay, so there's something maybe about the color red and the color yellow, which now that I'm thinking about it, this could apply to the root chakra and the solar plexus chakra. Or it could have to do with the entire full body system. I'm hearing the word upgrades. Okay, thank you, Spirit. Full body system. Yeah, big shivers as I thank you. Confirmation. full body system, full chakra system upgrades. I just heard advancement. Advancement. Okay. Now, whatever this has to do with jaundice or the yellowing of the skin, I don't know. Maybe this is a processing issue that's taking place collectively or for an individual who's something about Call of Duty or cod, the cod fish. Call of Duty or codfish. And a comm system, they're saying. I don't know what that's talking about either. But as usual, I'm just going to bring through the messages and the coding, and whoever it's for, you'll know. You'll just know. Okay. This is so random, but I have to just bring it through. I heard PCP just now. They want me to actually look that one up. I know it's a type of drug. I've never taken it. That's not my cup of tea. Thank you very much. But something about, oh no, they said, okay. See, this is why they asked me to look it up, because my first association was, oh, that's a type of drug. And as soon as I put it into Google, the first autofill is PCP test. So let's look at that. Actually, I clicked on the wrong thing. I clicked on PCP medical abbreviation. Pneumocystitis pneumonia. It's a serious lung infection that affects people with weakened immune systems. PCP is airborne, spreading person to person, and can cause symptoms like fever, cough, and chest pain. Okay, treatment for PCP must include prescription medication. PCP can cause death without treatment. Hold on, let me go back. PCP test, because that was the first one that caught my eye. Healthcare providers test for PCP by taking a sample of mucus from the patient's lungs. Sometimes a small sample of lung tissue is used to diagnose PCP or take a blood sample. Okay, so some clinical laboratories, something about blood samples. Now we have the lungs, the liver was referenced, the skin, kidneys also. So these could be highly symbolic. These, I'm hearing regenerative. That's what Spirit just said, regenerative. Okay, they're showing me like this process of cellular turnover. One of the readings I did on the members side of the channel that I posted both here and also on my other channel, It's Tarot and Beyond, was a light body activation reading. We did 3 actually, because it was a pick a card style. And I remember in one of them, they were going on a lot about mitochondria. So, okay, maybe this is a message about cellular health. I'm also hearing cellular death, autophagy. They just said, yeah, they had me look that up like a long time ago, because they told me that word as well. Didn't know what it was. And I Googled it, autophagy. If I look it up again right now, it's a cellular process where a cell breaks down and recycles its own components. It's a natural conserved mechanism for maintaining cellular health by removing damaged or dysfunctional parts and recycling them for energy and building blocks. This process is crucial for cell survival, especially during stress, and plays a role in various biological processes, including development, metabolism, and defense against pathogens. So maybe what we're talking about here is, okay, I'm hearing immunocompromised, and they're showing me, okay. This is going to be like a medical style reading. To preface this, I am not a doctor. I have no medical training. I am a Reiki master healer. I'm an Akashic reader. I'm a channel. Spirit just said I'm a prophet, although I don't feel comfortable saying that about myself, but they said it. So they said it, not me. Anyway, this is going to be a medical style reading, I think. So I think maybe this has to do with immunocompromised people. They're saying the word species right now. They're saying species dependent, and they're showing me the human biology. And on top of it, I was seeing the auric field. So it's kind of like if your immune system is compromised, if your cells are reproducing in an abnormal way, or if there's some issue going on with the breakdown of certain functions in the body. They're saying cellular processing, and how this can, I'm hearing manipulation, and how this can then become detrimental to certain working systems. Like, let's say, for example, the liver. I'm hearing something about gut bacteria, the kidney, the lungs, the immune system itself. They're saying something about the metabolic rate as well. They're saying changing pace, changing speed. I'm seeing something about quickening, quickening, quickening. And they're showing that cycle quickening both in regard to metabolic rate and also in regard to autophagy, cell death, and turnover. Because they're showing me these cycles speeding up. So I don't know if this is happening within you who has been called to this reading, or someone you know, or maybe this is a group of us, them, it, collective, I don't know. But there's something going on here with, I'm hearing soul death. Interesting. Okay, hold on. They just showed me the entire human collective as like a being. Like every cell is one person. And then the body, I guess, would be like the earth itself. No, they're saying no, that's like an organ. The earth is an organ in the body of this much larger being. I think this is literal, and it's also symbolic. Spiritually significant, Spirit said. Okay. The earth is the heart, they said. The earth itself as a whole is the heart. It is the organ of this entire, maybe it's like the solar system, or maybe it's the galaxy, or maybe if we zoom out far enough, this could even go into like universe. Okay, so we're all these cells, and there's something about this die off. Now, I am not saying that people en masse are going to die. I don't think that's the case. It's just there's something about these soul, they're saying little deaths, okay? So I think there's something about like this process of a death cycle. And I'm hearing rejuvenation. It's leading to this rejuvenation, regeneration, and okay, Spirit just said autophagy is necessary for cellular production. Okay, so it's like the death life cycle, the circle of life. And I don't know if this is going to be happening on a literal third dimensional physical death type of thing. I think I'm going to choose, because I have free will in these readings, I'm going to choose to interpret it as more metaphor, like a soul level death, like the death card in the tarot. It's not always literal. Most of the time, it's not literal. It's like an ending of a chapter. I have been seeing a lot of synchronicities regarding that as well. So it feels like something is dying so that it can be reborn. It's this process of cellular death to reproduce and to remake the system, just like our bodies do this in very cyclical ways. And physically speaking, you are made up of completely different material than you from a year or 5 years ago, or especially like let's say, for example, like 20 years ago. You are not physically the same entity that you were back then. Nor is your soul the same, because the soul doesn't stay static. It is continually going through this same process as the body. It's always evolving. It's always, I'm hearing revolving. And this process of autophagy occurs at the soul level as well. Okay, whatever that means. So I think we're talking about souls here that have potentially immune compromised physical vessels or bodies as a result of something that's going on in the I was going to say at more of like the auric field or soul level, but they're saying something about the cell. And they're showing me like, I don't know if like a bubble effect, something about a bubble and the cell being in this bubble. What does that mean? They're saying it's connected to metabolism again. So maybe this is at a physical level. No, they said it's both. Yeah, because what takes place at the soul level manifests into the physical level. It starts out in an energetic, or in its energetic form. I'm hearing the word essence. And then it is manifested or becomes solidified through the physical expression. But they keep saying the word manipulation as well. which often can have negative connotations like being manipulative or something, trying to force things to happen in a certain way for one's own agenda. But it can also be more neutral in the sense that it's something being moved or altered or changed or repositioned with intention, like manipulating clay. I'm hearing rewriting, and they're saying again cellular. Stores or shores, I just heard as well. They're showing me like it's like a warehouse, but it's filled with shelves that have all of these different bottles and vials and things on it. It feels like a medical warehouse is almost the way that I'm being shown this image. I wonder if this has to do with the pharmaceutical injury. I meant to say industry. It channeled out of my mouth. I'm hearing out of the mouth of babes. It channeled out of my mouth as injury. Pharmaceutical injury. Okay. What are we really talking about here, Spirit? Can you give me a little bit more direction? They're saying something about the medical industry. And they're saying the healing of souls needs to take place before the healing of the body can occur. Now, that's not always the case. In my experience working with Spirit, and I've asked them this before, and I've been studying with Spirit for a long time, so I have certain pockets of knowledge where we've dove down a rabbit hole here, rabbit hole there. And I remember asking them this question: if we treat the soul, do we even need to treat the body? And they said, sometimes no, sometimes yes. And in the case of sometimes yes, it's more of a bottom-up issue than a top-down issue. Both can occur. And sometimes you need to treat both, and they need to meet in the middle. So you need to treat the body and you need to treat the soul. Otherwise, if you only treat one or the other, it doesn't work. And they were saying something about treating the soul. Okay, now hold on. Sorry, they're interrupting. They're saying something about treating the soul as a whole. And I'm hearing not succumbing to pressures. This could be somebody specific around pharmacological intervention. Now, this is a strange message because I've used pharmacological intervention with success and been guided by Spirit to do so, despite the fact that actually my upbringing taught me the opposite. I was raised in a family that was very anti-establishment when it comes to anything medical, anything chemical, anything non-natural. So I was very resistant to seeking treatment for my ADHD in a pharmacological way. And Spirit was the one who nudged me to do it. And I really resisted. So the fact that this is coming up saying, in this particular case, for whoever this message is for, or maybe, again, it's a collective thing, the treatment pharmacologically won't be effective or as effective as it could be if there's not treatment happening at the soul level. So what would that look like, Spirit, or what is needed here in terms of soul level health to create this physical manifestation of health in the body? Okay, my throat just almost like constricted when I said that. It's still happening. The second card I have here is the second card I have here is the Knight of Swords, which can have to do with throat chakra. I just heard a dimethyltryptamine trip. Going on a trip. Dimethyltryptamine is DMT. It's what's produced in the brain from the pineal gland, I believe, when we are in deep, deep states of meditation, transcendental meditation, or even through ayahuasca. The cactus is here reminding me of peyote. Mushrooms, psilocybin, maybe PCB. I don't know. I'm not one for altering the chemistry of my brain through those types of hallucinogenic substances. I'm high on spirit. Like, I'm already a trip. Like, I'm a sober trip. Like, I don't need that stuff. At least it doesn't appeal to me. But there could be something here about releasing a type of block in the soul through a realization that occurs, or through some kind of autophagy that happens as a result, or a metabolic change. They're saying a metabolic change that happens because there's like a rerouting in the brain because of some kind of I'm hearing acid. Okay, acid trip. I've never done acid either, and I probably never will, and I don't recommend it. I can't, because, like, first of all, I've never done it. Second of all, I am an advocate for using your own mental faculties to achieve transcendent states of bliss and connection with spirit. I personally, as Siobhan, not as the channel for spirit here, well, it's both, but spirit has a different message than Siobhan does, basically, is what I'm trying to say right now. I personally don't really agree with what spirit is saying right now. I just have to be honest. But as a medium and a channel, I have to bring through these messages as unbiased as I can. So I'm going to. And they're saying something, or I'm hearing recommending, like they're recommending for someone here some kind of an altered state of consciousness trip to facilitate metabolic restructuring. And this process of autophagy will automatically take place to reset the entire nervous system and to reset the organs. And they're saying something about simple terms. In simple terms, it will reset the network. That's what Spirit just said. Okay, thank you. In simple terms, it will reset the network. And I'm hearing promote growth. Healthy cellular processing. That's what Spirit is saying. I'm having a lot of ego resistance again. Like, sorry, I have to. I'm still me as I bring through these messages, and I'm having a lot of ego resistance to this one. Okay, they're saying something about an autopsy, which is looking at the body after it's dead and discovering what caused that mortality. They're saying something about mortality rate, and it's like if we were to look at they're saying autopsy of the soul. Like if we were to look at the soul of bodies who died of this type of manifestation of disorder or dis-ease, we would see very clear indicators of what is causing the physical breakdown and the cellular, they said cellular demise. They're saying it all starts in the cell. It all starts in the cell. And I'm being shown like a prison cell, and they're saying like it can either be a prison cell or it can be a power cell. Ooh, interesting. Prison cell or power cell. Maybe this even has to do with, do we feel trapped in the body, or do we feel liberated working with it? Do we feel subservient to it, or are we forcing it to be subservient to us? Because I was seeing references yesterday and today to working with an animal. So the example was actually How to Train Your Dragon. It's the movie I watched last night. And Toothless and Hiccup have to work together to be able to fly. They have to respect each other. They have to trust each other. They have to communicate, in most cases non-verbally, to be able to co-create the process of flying. Another example would be a horse and a rider. It's not about breaking the horse. It's about building a relationship of mutual trust and understanding. The other example that's now coming to my mind is from Avatar, when they merge like their hair, which is basically an extension of the nervous system in that species, on Pandora. And maybe I'm opening Pandora's box here a little bit, but it needs to be done. And merging the nervous system with that other species to be able to work together as one and to move around. And I this is kind of what they're showing me, is like the soul is one species and the human is another. And it's like they've been kind of at war with each other, or they haven't agreed on certain things, or one has kind of like tried to fit into the other and hasn't gotten something about a shell, hasn't felt like it was the right fit. It's like being maybe this is even talking about souls, or in this case, people. Let's look at it that way in broader terms. People who have autoimmune disorders or chronic diseases, or who are susceptible to that kind of thing. Maybe even mental disorders like myself, like ADHD. I'm on the spectrum too, so probably autism, though that I don't have a medical diagnosis for that like I do for ADHD. But it can sometimes feel like the body is against you and you don't fit into the body well. And my soul and my mind are intact. But the body and its functioning, it feels clunky. It feels heavy. It feels way oversensitive. It feels draining to be in it sometimes. And other times it can feel really liberating and really ecstatic. So maybe this is what we're talking about, is how the soul fits into the body and how the body can then become one with the soul. Well, they are though. They are though. But maybe that process hasn't been working as efficiently as it could. They are one thing, but maybe because of some kind of suppression, I'm hearing suppression, that's why I said that, or division, I'm hearing division of assets. Fragmentation has been another theme that's been coming up in a lot of the readings and channelings from Spirit lately, I've noticed. Yeah, they're saying mental disorders, fragmentation of the soul. Okay. So how do we repair that? They're pointing me back to PCP test. It's like doing a test, but not within the body. There's like a test that can be done at the soul level. Can you explain what that is, Spirit? I don't know what this is. Hold on. Okay, I don't know what this means, but Spirit said the test can be done with one simple word. And then I waited for a second and they said wider. Wider. Okay, and they're showing me something getting wider, expanding. What does this mean? They're saying, can you expand your consciousness? How safe does it feel? How big is the container? That's what they're saying. I'm just repeating it. How safe does it feel? How big is the container? How wide can you go? And now they're jokingly being like, they're singing that limbo song that people, how low can you go? How low can you go when you're trying to limbo? But it's like, how wide can you go? I never really thought about that. So how would you go about doing this test on an individual level? And how would this be helpful? What would this tell us? Okay, they said the test will tell you in simple terms what you need to know about yourself. And they're saying something about widening the ego. Feels like, again, like expansion of the ego, expanding the mind, or the constructs that we would construe as mind. I'm hearing something about mental deities. And I'm hearing days of rest. And then I was like, okay, in my head I was thinking Sunday is traditionally a day of rest, and they're saying not just Sundays. Days, plural, like 3 days. Or interspersed days of rest based on the biology and the needs of the body-soul, or the soul connection, they're saying. Days of rest. So the testing, I guess, would be how wide can you expand your consciousness? How safe does that feel, like they said? And they're saying something about retrieving a construct. Can you bring that expanded state of consciousness back with you in a way into your everyday embodiment, or into that state of embodied living through the biological being? I don't know really what this means, but I remember one time, what did I do? I was doing some breath work, I think, and I was drawn to a specific Kundalini meditation. I don't remember who it was, like a guided meditation. It was on YouTube. I don't remember who it was. This was years ago. And I just remember feeling for the first time ever like I was my soul in its pure state, and that my body was like a glove I was wearing. And as I moved myself, which was the fingers, the glove would move and respond exactly as I was moving. It's a weird sensation to try and describe, but can you see why I don't need drugs? Like, I get high off just being. It's bizarre. I have to play human a lot and ground myself a lot. That's beside the point. So maybe this is about that process of like reintegrating parts of the soul through intensive expansion of consciousness work to be able to harmonize better with the biological being that we're currently inhabiting, or that you're currently inhabiting. Okay, and they just said earth scale too. So earth, something about earth scale events. Maybe this is something that's going to happen or be forced to happen. I just got a little bit of a pitch change in my left ear when I said that. Something about manipulation again. So maybe something outside of us is going to be, well, nothing is really outside of us if we look at it from the unity perspective, but I digress. Something outside of us trying to control, or in this case, I'm feeling like it's a limitation on the ability of the consciousness to expand. But it's going to backfire, Spirit just said. It's like the more that the oppressors who ruled, I'm going to use it past tense intentionally, who ruled this planet and its sphere of consciousness, the more that they try to oppress, the more backlash occurs at the spiritual level, the more it backfires. Because the more they try to shove something in the box, it's like trying to put everything back into Pandora's box, the more it spills out. The more obvious it becomes. And so there's something maybe pharmacological, or I'm hearing the word intervention. There's some kind of maybe a medical intervention, or I'm hesitant to say that there's going to be like something, like a secondary P word, the pandemic. I'll just say it, the pandemic. Maybe there's going to be like another attempt at that. I hope not. But that has been coming into my sphere of consciousness the last few days. So maybe that's why, is because I wasn't connecting those synchronicities with this message. But now that I'm here and we're doing this reading, it feels like they're connected. So maybe that's going to happen again, but it's going to backfire big time, Spirit just said. And now they're showing me the Big Lebowski. I don't like the dude. I don't know. What is that, a reference to someone specific, someone specific, or is there something in that I need to look deeper into? They're saying the bowling league, something about bowling balls or bowling pins, or a bowling league. They said the name of the bowling league. I don't know what that means. I don't know any bowling leagues. Okay, so they're saying something about a regurgitation. They're saying it's a cellular process, a necessary cellular die-off or death process taking place at the global level. They're saying earth scale events, multiple events, not just one, that are taking place over this course of time that I guess they're referring to. I don't know how into the future or what potential timelines these are that they're talking about, but they're saying in these time scale events, they're saying like clockwork, things are going to go off like clockwork. They're saying something about planetary alignments now. They're showing me, they said, okay, hold on. They said the spheres of the Sphinx while they were showing me like a zoomed out view of the solar system. Like you would look at a solar system model. That's what they were showing me. Something about Sphinx codes. And they said unlocking the Sphinx. They're saying holy center, finding your holy center. Holding the sphere of peace within you, they said. And the last reading I did on my other channel was peace codes. That's what they told me to do, so I did it. Wasn't as popular of a reading, but the really important ones really never are. It's always the kind of superficial ones that go more viral. Oh, viral. Maybe there's something about virality. Again, immune system compression. They're saying, I was going to say suppression, compression. Right. And they were saying the test is how wide can you expand? How wide can you expand? Okay. Expanding your soul expands your body's potential for cellular growth. That's verbatim. That's exactly what they just said. Okay. They're saying the benefits will be known worldwide, and I'm seeing something about pills being thrown in the trash. Like in the garbage, like hucking them, almost like Kobe, just chucking them in the garbage. Don't need those anymore. They said useful to an extent. Okay, they said purposeful decline. They're saying world events will show the details. The world events will show the details. Purposeful decline. They're saying constant attribution to the physical matter. Changes will occur slowly over time. The soul matrix will adjust itself and become one, they're saying more harmonized with the soul matrix as it expresses through the physical vessel, the physical being. This will become apparent through new research. I'm hearing tactics, but I also heard, I was like topics, tactics, testing. Those three words kind of came all at once or in a sequence. So topics, tactics, testing. They're saying new research modalities, awareness of the soul as a matrix within the being. Without the being, the soul ceases to embody as a construct. I don't know what that means. Well, yeah. What do you mean? Okay, I just heard very clearly the soul's expansion rate is increasing, but they're showing me a decrease as well. So it's something about a backslide. I'm seeing a mudslide, but they said backslide, a mudslide down a mountain. Something's being shifted loose. They're saying scientifically and in scientific fields. Like maybe this is going to be something revolutionary that comes about as a result of some new testing research topics that can't or can no longer, maybe it's already there, but can no longer be suppressed in some way or contained. I just heard contaminated results. They're showing me contaminated, muddy, oily water. Contaminated results. It looks like oil in the water where it creates that sort of iridescent holographic sheen. They're saying the awareness of the whole self. I'm hearing once upon a time, the West was one. Yeah, they said look that up. Okay, I was like, I feel like I need to look that up. That feels like a very specific reference. So, once upon a time, the West was one. The West was one or the West was one? Because that came up in the last reading too. One and one. To win or singular. Okay, what came up was Once Upon a Time in the West. It's a 1968 Italian epic spaghetti western film directed by Sergio Leone, celebrated for its operatic style and iconic performances, particular Henry Fonda as the villainous Frank. The film explores themes of revenge, greed, and the taming of the American West, focusing on the clash between a railroad tycoon, a mysterious gunslinger, and a woman fighting to protect her land. Interesting. Okay. It says a woman named Jill McBain inherits land in the fictional town of Flagstone, Arizona. Arizona's been coming up a lot in the channelings. Crucial for the railroad's expansion, she arrives to find her family murdered by Frank, a ruthless killer hired by a railroad baron named Morton. So The film explores the brutal realities of westward expansion, the clash between civilization and savagery, and the human cost of progress. I don't know how this all fits together with the message that they're bringing through, but somehow it does, because everything's interconnected when spirit directs us to it. They said, look a little deeper. Okay. Praised for its artistry and exploration of the Western myth. Maybe this is even talking about Western science, Western healing modalities. Once upon a time, the West was one. Maybe this is about the direction of West itself on the medicine wheel, they just said. The medicine wheel has been coming up, and they've been showing me north, east, south, west. I've had references to all of them. North came up in the last reading. East came up behind the scenes. South hasn't been coming up quite as much, but now West. Okay. So, but it's something about the medicine wheel. Okay. Let me look up West on the medicine wheel. West on the medicine wheel. In the medicine wheel, the West represents adulthood, the season of fall, and is associated with the color black or sometimes blue. It's linked to the element of water, the stage of emotional development, and the idea of introspection and reflection. The West is considered a doorway to the spirit world and a time of harvest and giving back. Interesting also, because I've been seeing references to harvest, pumpkins, which can be in the West or in the in the northern hemisphere. Fall time, autumn. Okay. So introspection and reflection through organic means or through some other means is crucial, very, very important to this westward expansion that we're doing in terms of our spiritual growth and development as a collective. I think this is what Spirit's kind of talking about here. At least that's how I'm interpreting it. So maybe this emotional development has to do with understanding more of spirit. It's maybe even going into like feminine presence work and being able to work with the feminine polarity to understand the spirit realm, the gateways to the spirit realm, how the spirit enters. They said entail and intel. Okay. Enters into the body. I've also been seeing references to the North and South Node. North Node being the head of the dragon, South Node being the tail of the dragon, Rahu Ketu. And they're saying medicine wheel again. Traditional healing versus modern healing. Holistic healing versus allopathic healing. I think, again, there's been like this split. It's been one or the other, and maybe it's about both, or maybe it's about integration, or maybe it's about expansion in one or the other, or both. They're saying something about nature-based signs. They're saying something about the wood. They're showing me the bark of trees. The trees will something. I didn't hear the last word. The trees will what? They're saying wobble. I don't know why, what the heck that means. The trees will wobble. The only thing that reminds me of is I have done mushrooms in my younger years, not spiritually. But it reminds me of like when you're on mushrooms, everything kind of wobbles. Like it looks like everything's breathing. Everything kind of pulsates like that. So maybe there's something about that. I don't know how this is all connected or with what, but there's something about the nature signs. They're saying signals. I'm hearing Q codes. I was seeing a previous reference to QR codes as well, and they had me look up what the significance of QR codes are. And I was applying that spiritually, symbolically as like a very specific template that opens up a bridge to some kind of important information or knowledge. Because generally speaking, QR codes can be used to open a link through your phone. So it's an access to a particular landing page or web page or something like that. So you have to open the camera, scan the QR code, and then it opens it. It provides the link if you click on it. So maybe there's something there spiritually about, like, if you are scanning a particular code, it's going to, if you click on it, it'll open that up for you. It'll give you, I'm hearing window of opportunity. It'll give you a window of opportunity maybe to see beyond your current construct, or maybe to expand the mind in some way. They're saying hallucinogenic allopathic. That's what they said, hallucinogenic, and then the word allopathic. And allopathic medicine is traditional medicine, which normally doesn't use hallucinogens as a style of treatment. But that has been used in the East for thousands of years. So maybe, I'm hearing Peruvian. That would be more like those ayahuasca trips. I think people go to Peru to do that kind of thing, or whatever else they do there. But there's maybe something about... yeah, okay, thank you. Spirit said reintroduction, or reintroducing these ancient techniques into modern medicine. I do know that, like, from this point in time, there have been a lot more studies in the West, both America and Canada, possibly in overseas as well, to using mushrooms and other types of drugs to, in a medical setting, facilitate psychological healing. But Spirit just said psycho-spiritual. So it's like, I'm hearing mind over matter. Yeah, it's like if you can get the mind they're saying locked into the right position, it harmonizes with the body and the body follows suit. Again, it's not always the case, but if the issue is occurring primarily at this, they're saying primordial. When I said primordial, if it's existing within the soul complex and its ability to integrate into the body, if you treat it from that level, the body will respond appropriately. Okay. Now I'm hearing something about surgeries. Complex suits. I don't know what that means. Like lawsuits? No, I don't know. They said treating the cause. Complex suits. I don't know what that means. Treating the cause, complex suits. And I have been kind of, just as we've been talking, as I've been channeling, I'm being drawn to the Nature's Whispers deck. So I think let's dive in here. Okay, it feels like, yeah, it feels like something strengthening by declining. This is so weird, but it's like it's something gets stronger by going through that natural autophagy process. The die-off creates the strength, is what Spirit just said. The die-off creates the strength. They said the medicine wheel will tell the tale, or will tell you more. They kind of said both, and they overlapped on top of each other, so I'll just say both as well. The medicine wheel will tell the tale, or will tell you more. I'm also seeing a reference to a natal chart. So instead of 4 quadrants, it's divided into 12 in the natal chart. 12 came up in the last reading. Actually, a couple of the last readings that I did, it was connected to the 12 seasons. There was reference to 12-strand DNA. There was reference to the 12-pointed tree of life. Okay, something about Kabbalistic reintegration I just heard too. All right, nope, they said keep going. Okay, thank you. They said don't get ahead of yourself, Siobhan. Don't push, don't force. Yeah, sometimes I do that. And sometimes I do that to my body too. Like my soul is screaming for something, or even my body is trying to tell me something, and I override it. I override it from the mental level, and I push myself too hard. And actually, this is an important message I'm meant to share, because on the way home, there was a dump truck right in front of me, and on the back it said, "Do not push." And I like read it absent-mindedly, and then I kind of zoned in and focused on it a little more. And then I was like, that's a really good message. Like, yes, it's probably obviously literal, but I took it very emotionally, spiritually. I was like, yeah, do not push. Okay. I'm hearing the collective womb space will heal all on its own. if you let it be, do not push. Interesting, because when you're in birth, the process of birth, you're told to push. They're saying, do not push. It will become one all on its own. That's what they said. Oh, wow. Renewal of peace. You see, the last reading I did was peace codes. This is what this is what they're bringing in right now. This is what's coming through from spirit, is these peace codes. And that's how we stop pushing, and how we stop striving, and how we stop shooting ourselves in the foot with unnecessary progress. And we return to the simplest form. They said the simplest form of our manifestation. Physical essence, physical being, united as one with the divine. No, they said as the divine. As the divine. This feels like it's a world scale thing. World scale event or events. Series of events in this process that's unfolding. The renewal of peace, both internally and how that applies on the collective world stage, but also how it applies in our bodies. Like a peaceful body would be a body that's not at war with itself. I just heard the word antigen. They said viral antigens. Hold on. Antigen meaning? I know what pathogen means, but antigen. A toxin or other foreign substance which induces an immune response in the body, especially the production of antibodies. They're saying anti-peace movements, and they're saying the word manipulation again. So there have been a lot, they're saying digressive, and they're saying false results. I don't know what this is all referring to. They're showing me something about a PCP test again. Something about false negatives, or negative, positive. I don't know what that's talking about either, but they did just say holistic approach is best. That's such a broad statement. Again, take it with a grain of salt, take it all in stride. There's so much nuance to that. It's going to depend on the person, the situation, but this is what Spirit just said, so I'm going to relay that. They're saying something about ticket to golden. They said ticket to golden, and it was reminding me of like a golden ticket, but they said ticket to golden. Maybe there's a place called Golden. I think there's a place called Golden kind of near where I live in British Columbia. But anyway, renewal of peace. They said a peaceful spirit is a compassionate home for the soul. That's interesting that they've differentiated between the spirit and the soul. Well, yeah, I guess they are too. So a peaceful spirit is a compassionate home for the soul. They're showing me things inside of each other. So like the body inside the soul inside the spirit. They said one is not the other, but is not necessarily different from the other in its functioning or base mechanics. Again, straight from Spirit, that's verbatim. Something about the spiraling nature of time, they said. Okay, I've got 3 more cards there. We've got shift your energy on the bottom. Yeah. I just heard Reiki Master Healers Unite. And I've never even mentioned on this channel that I am a Reiki Master. I studied that, and I did Reiki healing as a practice for a long time, both hands-on in person from my home, and then later remotely for people all over the world. So, and while I did that, I was trained sort of like on the spot, like on the job training by Spirit to do psychic surgeries. So it started out like I would just see into people's holographic fields, and I would see what was going on in the energy system. Like I can see the chakras, I can see the aura, not all of it, but I'll be shown what's relevant. And sometimes I could even see into the physical body and see the organs and things like that. They're saying something about an organ transplant. Okay. And the last reading, they mentioned something about a heart transplant symbolically regarding the collective heart and the earth heart. So that could be relevant here too. But yeah, they said Reiki masters unite. And this isn't just about Reiki as a modality in and of itself. That it could be any kind of energy healing. And we all have the capacity to energy heal, whether you've been trained in it or not. Our bodies are built for that. Our souls just do that naturally. And yes, if you have the knowledge or the backing or the practice or the skill development to be able to use that in a more intentional, constructive way, yes, do that, both for yourself, for others, as you're called or guided. Just know, though, that when you do healing work, you're not healing the other person. You're creating a safe, peaceful space energetically for that person to heal themselves. Just like the doctor doesn't necessarily heal the body, they can provide the resources, the tools, or the right environment for that body to heal itself. Even if it requires big intervention like a psychic surgery or like a physical surgery. Even then, when I was doing psychic surgeries and removing I'm hearing the word gallbladder. I don't think I ever did anything with the gallbladder, not that I can remember, but I've seen crazy stuff in people's energetic fields, tears, rips, spears, all sorts of like parasites and things like that. And having to go in there and do intervention work in that way as guided by spirit. So, and sometimes I wasn't even advanced enough to do it. And so there would be another guide that would come in and they'd either teach me how to do it or I'd hold space while they did it. And I'd relay that to the client or to the person that was doing this work on, or sometimes it's even for myself. So yeah, all of that could somehow be relevant as well. Maybe this is like a spiritual resurgence, which has already begun. Like this has been happening now for decades, but even more so collectively, I'm hearing modern era. I'm seeing a reference to Modern Family, the show. I don't watch it. I don't personally like that show. I don't know why. It just bugs me for some reason. But something about Modern Family, or maybe this is like a new family dynamic energetically that's going to be a structure that sustains, I'm hearing habitation. The house of the soul, they said. Okay, let's look at these cards. Make a wish. Number 1, make a wish. I heard make a wish and it will most likely come true. And I'm hearing mind over matter again. Okay. Culmination of vision. This came up in one of the most recent readings I did too. I can't remember which one it was, but I remember seeing this card. Culmination of vision. It might have been one of the members' readings. Something about the bark of the tree. Willow bark was used to create aspirin. I did see a reference to that this week. I'm hearing barks has bite, which is a reference to root beer. I've also had some weird synchronicities and references coming up about like bizarre advertising campaigns and marketing campaigns, like how I know they did it a lot in the 90s, and apparently that it's happening now with like KFC, and there's others like UK or even like Thailand has like apparently some bizarre ads that are meant to like shock you and disturb you in a way. I don't know how this is relevant, but that's coming to mind. So I'm going to mention it because it's all connected clearly somehow. And we have catch your breath. Something about the lungs. Something about the lungs is very significant here. Lungs are connected to heart chakra. I'm seeing something about twinning or twinned organs, like the kidneys are a set of 2, the lungs are a set of 2, even the brain has 2 hemispheric lobes. They're saying 2 arms. And there was a previous reference to, Spirit said arachnid in my head, and then I was like, something about the number 8. I just heard 88, that's great. Something about number 88. And then in that particular reading, I think, again, it was probably a member's reading on my other channel, but I turned over the card that was just sitting on the table, and it was the 8 of Pentacles. Oh my God, I forgot I have the 8 of Pentacles right here. It's from a different deck. The one I was using was the Muse Tarot, and in it, there was a woman with 8 arms. And I was like, oh yeah, they said arachnid. And then I was like, the number 8, and then it was the 8 of Pentacles from that deck that had this woman with 8 arms. Something about the 8 of Pentacles or 8-8. I did a previous reading here too about 8-8 wealth codes. I'm just remembering that right now. Okay. Something about that. Maybe it's about like cellular wealth. They're saying ticket to golden again. And every time they say it, I want to be like golden ticket, but they're saying ticket to golden. They're saying in transit. Eight of Pentacles here. He's growing sunflowers. That watering can, maybe the element of water is significant. That's come up here in regard to the West. I'm hearing something about water drop. That's actually the brand of water filtration that I use because it filters out fluoride amongst other chemicals. Oh, they were showing me that dirty water before too. But this could symbolically represent like cleansing the waters of the body, and waters of the body could refer to blood. The filter would be the liver and the kidneys. I'm hearing bile ducts. They're showing me lymph nodes as well. Something about the chest, respiratory, breathing rate. I've also seen 2 references over the past month or so to blood clots in the lungs. And as I was trying to find the word to say that, I was hearing pulmonary embolism, which I don't know what that means. Hold on, let me look that one up too. Oh, it's the first picture is a picture of the lungs. I thought it was something in the brain. A pulmonary embolism occurs when a clump of material, most often a blood clot, gets stuck in an artery in the That's fucking crazy. That's literally what they... Okay. This is why I love working with spirit, because it's just like proof to me anyway. Like from the outside, maybe it's not to you. That's fine. You might be like, oh, she already knew that. No, I didn't. I really didn't. And they've proven to me time and time and time again that they will provide information that's relevant that I need. And this is why I'm here to do this job, because having this level of access is crucial. Everyone can do this to some degree, just the same as energy healing. Anybody can channel this kind of information. I tend to do it auditorily and visually, but everyone can have their own way of doing it. And I feel like tapping into that is also going to help here. But anyway, again, I digress. Pulmonary embolism occurs when the lungs, clump of material, often a blood clot, gets stuck in the artery in the lungs, blocking the flow of blood. Blood clots most commonly come from the deep veins of your legs, a condition known as deep vein thrombosis. In many cases, multiple clots are involved. So there's a lot of medical information. They're saying something about case studies that's coming up in this reading. And this is not to like trigger anybody into, what's that word? When you're like super anxious about every medical thing. I can't remember the word for it. It's not coming to mind and they're not telling me. So it's probably not, maybe it's not relevant. Maybe it is. I don't know. Hypochondriac. Now it came back. I remembered. Hypochondriac. I'm not trying to trigger anybody with that kind of thing, if that's a tendency or latent issue, but maybe again, like triggers are also opportunities for healing. Anytime that we get triggered, it's meant to serve us as an opportunity for healing. So if that's coming up, that's why that now reference about hypochondriacism, whatever, is coming up. 333 on my, okay. Let me slow down. 3:33 p.m. on the clock as I say that. So everything's in divine alignment. 3 also reminds me of mind, body, and soul, not necessarily in that order. It's the Trinity. Can have to do with, I'm hearing something about conclusions, new conclusions being drawn. But I was going to say 333 can also have to do with ascended master type energy or archetypes that you're working with or that you're embodying or that you're channeling to be able to support this level of spiritual growth, expansion, or healing, or all of the above. So catch your breath. Maybe this has something, maybe there's something here to do with the healing of the lungs. They're saying something about how that's connected to the nervous system. They're saying the bark of the tree. They're saying something about asthma and the bark of the tree. I don't even know what I would Google to look that up. Asthma tree bark? I didn't even spell asthma right. Hold on. How do you spell asthma? Asthma? How do you spell asthma? Oh my God. Oh, asthma. Oh, I was missing the T, that's why. Asthma tree bark treatment. Okay, let me look that up. The extract of magnolia bark has been used for thousands of years in traditional Chinese and Japanese medicine. During the 7th century, monks in the Chinese Buddhist temples grew these trees in their gardens for use in treating conditions like depression, asthma, muscle pain, and headache. Okay. Just underneath that, there's a little, in People Ask, it says, what tree bark is used for medicine? Examples of bark used for medicinal properties are quinine bark, oak bark, pepper bark, and willow bark. I did mention willow bark. Okay. Is pine bark good for the lungs? Is another one. May reduce inflammation. The apparent ability of pine bark to alleviate inflammation has also led to studies on its potential as a therapeutic treatment for chronic airway inflammation conditions like asthma and chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. I think I'm just going to leave that there. I'm going to trust that this reading and this information is going to get into the hands, maybe literally, or to the eyes, the ears of whoever needs to hear this. And as I said here, it wanted to come out of my mouth as heal. And I had to override it and say here, to heal this, to heal this. This is a healing message for someone. I'm hearing it is possible. They're saying mind over matter again, but it's not just the mind. It's like a combination of maybe using natural substances. Maybe there's some pharmacological aspect to this as well. And maybe there's some psychological or psycho-spiritual aspect as well. So I think 3, hit all the bases. And that way you've kind of covered the totality holistically of whatever this issue may be presenting as. And if this is not a literal healing message, this could be highly symbolic, because they were showing me stuff about the global collective energy and soul energy and all of that. I forgot to mention that on the bottom of the deck, it's just kind of been sitting here to the side of me, is the Fool card. So a fresh start. I just heard 0 point energy. Oh, thank you, Spirit. They said 0 point energy, the source of all healing. 0 point energy, the source of all healing. They're saying, hear me. Hear me, heal me. Again, those two seem to be interchangeable. Maybe hearing some kind of relevant information, or hearing these frequencies or tones, or hearing the call of your soul. Spirit said, okay, thank you. Hearing, heeding the call of your soul leads to healing. A little bit of a leap of faith here with the Fool card, as it always tends to denote, but it will create or culminate in some pretty massive, I think, from the sense I'm getting from this energy, not just from what the message is itself, but intuitively, clairsentiently tuning into it, I can feel there's some pretty massive healing that's on offer here for those who should wish to seek it, or to embrace it, or to expand themselves into that kind of healing. Okay? Shift your energy. Shift your energy. This is what's going to make it possible. They're saying collective energy shift. So we're all going to help to make this happen. If you're in need of physical healing right now, I want you to know that you're not alone and that you are overcoming this. And there's healing at play on multiple levels. That's what Spirit's saying. They're showing me multi-dimensional fractals, layers of the soul. There's healing happening on multiple floors, multiple doors. They also just said multiple doors, multiple floors of healing taking place. They're showing me a hospital and how it has multiple floors that are dictated or that are designed for different things. There's different, fourth floor is this, second floor is that. There's healing happening on multiple floors. They're saying open the doors, double wide, expand. Okay, I'm going to leave the reading here. We're not going to do an extended today because it's already an hour and 10 minutes. But I hope this was helpful for someone, or for a group of people, or for, I heard someone special from Spirit. That's what they said. Someone special. Special. Okay. Spirit just said someone special, sometimes something special requires divine intervention, or sometimes someone special requires divine intervention. And as they were saying that, I was seeing a fox's tail, as if the fox was running away from me. All I could see was its tail. Okay, I'll leave it there. I love you guys. I hope this was helpful and healing in the most beneficial of ways on all of these different levels for your greatest and highest good. I'm seeing a 4-leaf clover. Okay, it just keeps going. So I'm trying to wrap it up here, Spirit. Can we wrap it up? They're showing me tree bark again. Feel it with your hand. Maybe this is to do with grounding, or they're saying something about an electromagnetic pulse, EMP, but it's not like a large scale EMP that knocks out stuff like that. It's more like an electromagnetic pulse that happens in the body. Something about a nut, pine nut I just heard, but I was seeing an acorn in my mind's eye. Something about the mighty oak. Blueprint of the acorn becomes the mighty oak. Just give it the right nurturing, the right environment, the right set of circumstances. Meet its needs, and it will grow strong. The oak also represents wisdom and can be a gateway or a portal. They're saying to healing. They said, hold it in your mind. You will see it in your hands. Okay, stop, Spirit. No, don't stop. But thank you. I appreciate. I'm trying to wrap it up. 1 1 1 1 1 as I say that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I love you guys. I'm going to go, and I will keep bringing through these messages as necessary or as needed. They're showing me a carport. Something about a carport. Okay. They said the port of the home. Somehow that's relevant. Exhaust, removing the exhaust. Getting out of the house, they said. Something about, I'm hearing home sprites. This is the never-ending reading. Home sprites. I'm hearing holly, hallelujah. Something, mistletoe, something about Christmas could be significant, or a kiss. Again, plants, different types of plants they're referencing here too. Something about fibular. I don't know if I heard that right. Fibula. All right. Well, I'm just going to give up on trying to end the reading. I'll just go with it until they tell me I'm done, I guess. Okay. What is a fibula? Apparently it's something in the legs. Why is it called a fibula? The bone was so called because it resembles a clasp, like a modern safety pin. It's some kind of bone in the leg, the lower legs, like in the calves. Fibula. Something about the fibula. Convenient, they said. I don't think that's a word. No. Oh, there is a little fox here in this. I just noticed that. You guys may have noticed that. I didn't notice that. But they showed me the fox running away. Just the tail. It was pretty. It was like a big fluffy tail with a little white bit or cream color on the end. It was nice. Something about collaborate, they're saying. They're saying colloquial terms of healing. Hold on. Terms of healing. Getting back on your feet. I literally just typed in colloquial terms of healing, and it says getting back on your feet. And they just showed me the fibula. So like being able to stand and walk again, bouncing back, feeling like yourself again. Getting better, getting well, recovering, mending, getting back on your feet. I'm hearing betting on yourself, bouncing back, feeling like yourself again, coming around, pulling through, snap back. Healing, rehabbing, fixing up, patching up, restoring, getting over it, healing from, moving on, finding peace. Where did that go? renewal of peace. Finding peace, internal peace, building external peace from that. Finding closure, rebuilding, gaining strength, coming to terms with. So, something about the opposite as well. They're saying flip the script. Like if you've, maybe some people here have been stuck in feelings of hopelessness or despair or frustration. I know for me, I get really frustrated with my body sometimes. And then I have to check myself and call spirit back in and re-inhabit my body with my true essence. And then I listen and I'm able to calm and I'm able to ground and I'm able to heal and I'm able to move emotion through and I'm able to focus and send energy to certain places, or I'm able to channel information I need about what I need to do. But it's really easy to get distracted by the symptoms or to feel or to succumb to those symptoms and feel helpless. So if there is anybody here who's struggling with physical health issues, I totally understand. I've dealt with both mental and physical health issues, and it's really not easy. But it can be done, is what what Spirit is saying. As in recovery, the process or period of gradually re-ingraining one's health and strength. Recovery, rehabilitation. They're saying divine intervention again. Okay? Curing disease, restoring health. That's what they're saying here. Something about the sun. Also, an ad on the side just caught my attention. Something about summer and the sun. And they're saying rehabilitation again. Okay. I randomly just heard naughty by nature. That's a band, isn't it? Naughty by nature. I don't think that's literal. Yeah, it is. I was like, yeah, OPP. I know. Yeah. Hip hop hooray. Oh, okay. So something about naughty by nature or OPP. Feel me flow. Holiday. I'm just looking at the name titles now that I've pulled up naughty by nature. I'm just seeing what stands out. Maybe it's even about nature. Oh, I just realized, because nature's whispers, and we're talking about nature, natural healing, or the nature of the soul. Something about the color orange and the direction east. It says origin east or east orange. That's why I'm saying that. Yeah, holiday is the one word that's really the song Holiday. I don't know if I've ever heard that, but something about holiday is significant. Maybe taking a vacation or taking some time off to do some kind of healing, or going on holiday to receive or to access this type of healing. It all lives within you. You don't need to go to other people necessarily, but if you're called or drawn or you're guided, specifically guided to particular healers at a specific time, that could be part of this as well, or on holiday. They really want me to look at the song Holiday. Okay, bear with me if you're still here. Thank you. 118 as I say that. Full lyrics. We came here to party, join together, everybody, let's celebrate. It's a party going on, it's a holiday. We came here to party, throw your hands up, everybody, let's celebrate. It's a party going on, it's a holiday. Once again, it's on. It's been a while since you heard the style. Yes, it took a little time, but now we worth your while. To all of you from my crew who've been waiting so long, this track caps off at the official Naughty Bomb shit. The Illtown Party rhymer sayer, depleting MCs like the ozone layer, may acquire my desires, and like vintage wine we shall sell no rhyme before it's time. I'm the 19th Naughty 9 MC, microphone controller, master of ceremonies. So remember why you hate me. I'm naughty by nature. You're severed by association. Which meaning that you fake ass niggas who, sorry, I'm just reading this, who connected to them snake ass niggas don't come up in my face ass niggas. You try to keep on rhyming like you didn't know. Naughty by nature came to save you from them bullshit shows. Okay, interesting. the feds pick up the balance watching everything that we touch. But yeah, I see the D stuck in the VSC and G truck. They watching us, plan on knocking us through binoculars. My nigga, I connect the bottom lock to the top of us. You take the topic, ain't no profit, but give me a picture and a compass and I'll do a Nostradamus. Find that ass on a quick spot, catch you slipping like ice in silk socks. The cover of your album be the back of a milk box. Okay, I love this. Okay. See, I'm an if or hit a shitter like an old timer, mama. I dig a vagina like a gold miner. I'm a rebel rhymer. Time trauma minus your mama equal a lot less drama. Let me talk to you, mommy. Maybe you could come to Dirty Jur's new Juro, Witcha crew. You bring that ass, I'll bring the brew. And hit some thug passion and roast some D. From incense to hashing niggas hot talking about crashing. Okay, so it goes on and on and on. I'm probably going to edit some of that. And I'm probably going to censor some of that because I'm just like, I was just vibing with it for a sec. But yeah, there's maybe something in the lyrics to Holiday or the song somehow is relevant here. I don't know. I'm not going to try and interpret. I'm just going to bring through what Spirit is calling me to and what's coming up. Okay, they finally said that's it. And they're saying something about a window. That was the window of time, I guess, that we needed to relay these messages, or that was the window for you to be able to peer through to see what you needed to see in some way. So I hope this was helpful. Like I said, something about the release date, 1999. They're showing me the turning over of the wheel, like the reset from 1999 to 2000. Something about that could be significant. Okay, done and done. I love you guys. We'll see you in the next reading. Bye.